What's up guys, Blitz here today bringing you another video. In today's video I want to talk about something that's been on my mind for quite some time. That is where Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 might end. Obvious spoiler warnings for Final Fantasy VII Original's main story plot, as well as potentially the very same plot for Final Fantasy VII Remake, because we can't say for sure where exactly it just might be going. So click away right now if you do not want to be spoiled of this amazing 20-year-old game. And also, I recommend buying the original game and playing it, as it is available on every console and PC right now. So with all that being said, let's get into the video. Final Fantasy VII is a pretty large game and a deep one once you leave Midgar. For the most part, it does stay somewhat linear regardless of the open world being accessible, but the amount of things that happen and that you can experience are very large in comparison to this day and age of gaming, minus The Witcher 3 and other select titles. Let's face it, a lot of games nowadays drop the ball when it comes to open world aspects, endgame extra content, and even my favorite stuff, which are the side missions. To me, side missions are super important when it comes to world building and immersing yourself in it. Filler content is just one of those things I personally love because I'm a sucker for lore. Especially if I love the characters, I want to see them interacting more with the world that they are in and dealing with different tasks or situations. So one of my biggest hopes for Remake Part 2's open world, if it even has one, is that Square really puts more effort than us just having to kill a few monsters or find some lost kittens. I'd even love to see some side missions reference or affect certain main story stuff that happens later in the game. It doesn't really have to be anything major, but we can at least feel like we're engaging more in this world and at least making a difference. I think that's a win for Square and Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 right there if they nail that. Where we are right now at the end of Remake Part 1 is that the gang, Barret, Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, and Red 13 have finally left Midgar and are walking towards the open area and the outskirts of it. Based on the original game, the party decides to meet up at a small town nearby called Calm. This would be the very beginning moments of Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, where the gang all meets up at the inn within Calm and they ask Cloud about the story behind Sephiroth. Cloud begins to tell his story of how he and Sephiroth went back to Cloud and Tifa's hometown, Nibelheim, on a mission. Soldiers sent them to investigate the Mako reactor within the mountains. They are also led in this flashback through the Nibelheim mountains by Tifa, as she is their guide because she knows the mountains there very well. The story ends with Sephiroth pretty much burning down Nibelheim and murdering everyone from Cloud's mom to Tifa's father and many more. As Cloud is telling the story, you can tell Tifa is a bit uneasy, but the player doesn't know why as of yet. After Cloud's story, the gang finally leaves Calm and begins to make their way to Junon. This is where the beginning portions of Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 would take place, and where side missions and bonus content would begin to unfold. And now jumping way ahead towards the ending of Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. I personally, for me, would love it if the Remake Part 2 ending took place at the end of the Northern Crater, where Cloud disappears and the party is now being led by Tifa, which would provide a huge cliffhanger leading up to Remake Part 3. Not to mention the reveal of the giant weapons, which are a new enemy, and a gigantic meteor in the sky threatening to crash into the world, and things just looking super bleak, leaving the players and veterans just shocked at where this could go next. However, after discussing with you guys a little bit and thinking about things, I think Remake Part 2 actually would end when the gang finds their way to Tifa and Cloud's hometown, Nibelheim, and it's perfectly well intact and totally not burnt down. And this makes the party confused since the game starts off with Cloud explaining his story and what happened there. And the town clearly is filled with Shinra cover-up agents, and things just aren't the same as what Cloud or Tifa remember it. Then the gang makes their way to the Shinra mansion located inside of Nibelheim, and this is where the characters start to question Cloud's reliability. If you guys remember, this is also where a new character, Vincent, is introduced, so I would imagine similarly to how Red 13 was not playable at the end of Remake Part 1, then that would be the same case for Vincent if Remake Part 2 ends after Nibelheim, which I hope isn't the case. Sephiroth appears in the Shinra mansion and attacks Cloud with a materia, but in Remake, this whole encounter could possibly take place much differently. I could totally see another huge Sephiroth and Jenova fight happening here easily after Vincent joins the group. So like how the ending of Remake Part 1 had this huge cinematic experience of a boss battle occur, we can have something to that effect happen here. And by the way, Square Enix announced earlier today that only 30.5% of you guys that watch and love these videos are currently subscribed. I mean, do you guys not want a PS5? Like, what's up with that? Our PS5 giveaway is starting up soon, and trust me when I say this, you guys do not want to miss out on the chance to win it for completely free just because you are not a subscriber. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for the PlayStation 5 giveaway to be starting in a few weeks. Starting this week, however, is the channel exclusive t-shirt giveaway and a free game of your choice. The giveaway details will be posted later this week, and I'll be sure to spam you guys all week about it. So everyone will get an equal opportunity to get this one-of-a-kind t-shirt design, which will never be remade again. Our giveaways on this channel are open to everyone throughout the world, so no matter where you live, I will be shipping these items to you guys, so make sure you do not miss out on that. Guys, being a subscriber helps the channel out a ton, and it's a free way to help support me on these videos that you all love. So hit that subscribe button and let's make your life after the holidays a little bit more sweeter. I now think this would be a great time to end Remake Part 2 there, because after Nibelheim, we come across Rocket Town where we meet Cid, and it would take a very long time after that until the Temple of the Ancients segment, which would be the next good moment to stop Remake Part 2's story. This is why I was hoping they would go up to the Northern Crater, as that area provides insane story reveals and they could end Remake Part 2 perfectly there. And also because I figured since the original Final Fantasy VII game had 3 discs, they would make the remake series go on for 3 parts. Ending Part 2 at the Northern Crater would leave enough content for Part 3 to finish things up from that point in the story. However, I do think they now intend to go with an even 4 parts, which then would make sense if Part 2 ends in Nibelheim. But remember, this is all depending on their development process, which I want to talk about for a little bit. Yes, Final Fantasy VII Remake started development in 2015, but remember, this was by another company in charge of that remake named CyberConnect 2. They are well known for the Naruto Ninja Storm games and the tragic Dragon Ball Z Kakarot game. Later in 2017, Square took over the project themselves and brought on the original developers from the original Final Fantasy VII's team in order to work on Remake along with younger, veteran fans. This required them to rework a lot of mechanics and overhaul the way characters looked initially from late 2017 till April 2020, and Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1 was finally released. Does this mean I think they will take about 3 or 2.5 years to finish Part 2? Yes and no. Hear me out. Now that Remake Part 1 is here, we have the character models, the combat system, the HUD, menus, as well as most of the animations. With these blueprints and groundwork already laid out, we could really see Remake Part 2 come out sooner than expected. However, with that being said, I do hope they take their time and give us the best reimagination of this open world map that we all know and love, with great side missions, character interactions, and recreations of iconic moments. I'm not against them adding in new experiences as well for us to enjoy. I just want this open environment to feel alive and lived in. There are quite a few people out there I've seen that have been stating that Remake Part 2 should or will end on the boat after we leave Junon and fight Jenova. But this would be before we even get to Costa del Sol. To be honest, there's not enough story points there for that to happen. Yes, Part 1 did end right after we left Midgar, but remember, during an initial first playthrough, the Midgar portion could take a playthrough of about 8 to 10 hours to get through. Then, after being in the open world, you could really get through to Costa del Sol within the next 3 hours following that. Even if they stretched out the gameplay and added more details to the story or world, we're looking at about 20 hours of playtime by Remake's standards. That would also mean that Final Fantasy VII Remake would be 7 parts or something like that, which I don't even think they'd even want to consider. And also, a few months ago, which we already discussed in a previous video, the motion capture actors for Cloud and Tifa both shared this photo. Cloud's actor is laying on a beach chair holding an umbrella, which to me this means they are filming or have filmed Costa del Sol segments for the game. It could be argued that this is on the Junon boat, but I doubt that since in the original game you pretty much wear a disguise the whole entire time that you are on the boat until the very end. Let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments below. And that wraps it up for this video, guys. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 started storyboard planning in November 2019, and full development began this year in about June 2020. So I think it's safe to say we could see the next part of Remake in 2022. But honestly, who knows, with the way things are in the world, it could take a little bit longer. I honestly can't wait for it. I mean, I personally owe a lot to Square with Final Fantasy VII Remake. This game has changed my life and given me the opportunity to create such a great community with you all, and I'm just blown away by all the support on these videos. It's kind of poetic in a way because this game did a lot for me as a child, and it's like coming back full circle as an adult and still making great memories. I cherish all this that we have together, guys, and I really look forward to making more of these videos for you all. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe if you are new. More Final Fantasy VII Remake videos are coming your way and you won't want to miss them. My name is BltzZ, and thanks for watching.